Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 9 of the FranTastic Review. I'm your host, Mellow15, and joining me for the ninth episode of the FranTastic Review, I got my guy,
Hey, yo, it's Narf.
the disembodied but never bodied voice.
Never bodied is
Never
crazy.
bodied. That's kind of funny, dude. That's actually crazy. So, like I say, every FranTastic Review, the show was started for my friend Fran, in memory of her. She was a big supporter of the show. I started the show FranTastic Review when Fran was at the, end of her life, so she saw the first 2 episodes, and I still carry this on for her. And basically what we do is we either review a TV show, if you guys are new here, we review TV shows, movies, and we do like a kind of a deeper dive than a normal podcast episode that we usually do. And yeah, so speaking of in the memory of, I want to give a quick shout out. So the creator of DBZ passed away this week. And it hits hard because the DBZ was a huge part of my childhood, huge part of me as a human. And not only is it probably hard for his family, but he affected so many people in the world. It's to the point where I saw the cartel ask to cease fire. Like, the cartel's him. They said they called for a ceasefire because of his passing.
That's crazy, honestly. What else have they ever called ceasefire for?
I don't remember that. So like, and there's always that meme because yes, I am half Hispanic, so there's always that meme like, hey, Mexicans are obsessed with Goku, which we are. We are obsessed with Goku. And one of my favorite parts of DBZ ever is the Gohan Cell saga, where we all grew up with him. He was a kid, we were kids. We saw him grow up to be a teenager when we were teenagers. Gohan defeats Cell, and that was one of my favorite things ever about DBZ. So, to the creator, what you created like affected my childhood to the point where it taught me a lot of lessons, and rest in peace, bro. So, I mean, not to open it up on a sad note, but I got to give a shout out where shout outs to do.
That's a great note, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
there's only a couple of shows in my childhood that like really affected me.
Yeah, like I can really name a few, right?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe like Avatar. Uh, what else? Like Supernatural. This is gonna sound weird, but dude, I grew up on a Survivor family. I wasn't allowed to watch like Family Guy
Yeah,
or anything
either.
like that. So I watched Survivor. That was the most drama and the most quote unquote bad words that I got to hear in my entire childhood was Survivor, bro.
Isn't J.J. Abrams involved with Survivor?
JJ Abrams.
I think so. We'll look it up later, but
I probably. Everyone's involved with Survivor. Survivor's been around for so long. I think that's like one of the 3 longest going shows. It's on like season
yeah.
43
Oh,
or more. Like I haven't watched the last couple of seasons cuz it's gone super woke. Super woke. It's just hard to consume because we don't get the like they're trying to cast for woke, it feels
mm-hmm.
like, instead of casting real people. It's frustrating when shows do that, but those are the shows that like really stick out to me. I mean, Supernatural was a 15-year journey.
Yeah. When you told me to watch Supernatural, I straight up said, "Hey, how many seasons is it?" And be honest, you told me can't do it. Sorry.
It's so long. It's so much fun though. If anyone hasn't watched it and you have 15 seasons worth of time, totally worth it. Embrace it for the cringe.
The cringe. You mentioned Avatar,
Mm-hmm.
so before we start, the live action Avatar is on Netflix. You guys, I highly recommend go watching it. Even if you haven't seen the animated show, you don't need to watch the animated show. But
Watch
I would
both.
say watch
They're
it.
both on Netflix.
And they're both amazing.
And
Watch both,
the
right?
original is so ridiculous.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So this is what this show is going up against. Tonight we're going to be reviewing The Last Airbender on Netflix, the live action version, and I will talk about Dune 2 a little bit later on. Yes, I personally, right? I watched the animated show first. I love the animated show. There's so much great things about that show. Yes, it is a kid show. It's on Nickelodeon. Right now you could watch it on Netflix and Paramount Plus. So Going into this live action, because the movie that M. Night Shyamalan made,
Boo.
it's so bad.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Same here. I'm actually ashamed that I watched M. Night Shyamalan's version of The Last Airbender.
I think I fell asleep in the theater. Like, there's only like 10 movies that I've fallen asleep in the theater, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the first.
And then to make it a movie, how do you make, like, this show is 3 chapters, right?
Yeah. It has to
And
be 3 movies or
it has to be 3 movies. So you can't fit all of season 1 into a movie unless it's like a 3 hour, 4 hour movie, and even then you're
it have to
cramming a
be
lot
like
of
a
stuff in there.
5-hour movie.
Yeah, how do you do that? So like you're already at a loss right there, right? This show isn't a movie. It can be a movie. Like let's say you do a sequel show or a prequel show or you do an off story. Yeah, movie, right? But this particular animated show, no, it has to be a show. This show, a lot of hype going into it, especially for the people who have seen the animated show, because we're like, hey, we know what greatness is. We know what this is. Did they deliver? Me and Sam are going to talk about it tonight. If you haven't seen it, you can come back to this video, check out our review, and yeah.
This is going to contain spoilers. We'll put a little beeper for when spoilers start. Just
like this whole video is a beeper, by the way. But basically, this whole video is a beeper, dude. You know? So if you haven't seen it, come back and and you can always catch this at a
we're
later
not starting right now, so yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so speaking of the show, with episode 1, I watched it with you, one of the Night Sweet podcasts, like a week or two ago. And the beginning I wasn't expecting, right? So they go into the genocide of the Airbenders. They show a little bit before Aang goes into his 100-year sleep in the ice. I really appreciated that.
I did too.
I really like how they did that. Now, going into episode 1, the graphics were okay. The main problem that, and we'll get as we go episode by episode, I would say like the first 3 episodes, especially in episode 1, they had to do a lot of exposition. I'm just not a fan of it. And I get it. There's a lot of you who have never seen the animated show, so they have to like kind of catch you up on what's happening. I get it.
Time limits.
But for someone who's seen the animated show, the exposition, which comes basically down to writing, the writers of the show felt they needed
being
to
lazy
do this.
at the end of the day.
It is lazy. It's a lot of exposition. So episode 1 wasn't bad, but they set up what they show you. They show you the genocide of the Airbender people. They show you basically they set up who the villains and the heroes are going to be. Then basically the genesis of this whole story. What did you like about episode 1, Sam?
First of all, I thought it was really good. I think immediately into that episode, you got the scene where the firebenders are chasing the earthbender.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that guy had so much time to get away in that one scene.
Yeah, in the beginning. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I get why
so much time, but I get it. They had to create a scene,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a hard thing to get out of. They could have had them right on their tail or something. That would have made it a lot more convincing. But I like this beginning scene. The earthbending was fire. The martial arts behind the earthbending was a little interesting. It felt like they would throw out an attack and it would do something that you wouldn't expect it to do, which I think got better throughout the
100%
the whole show. But I loved that they showed the air temple alive and thriving. That's something we never saw really in the live action. I mean, there were flashbacks and stuff, but we really didn't get to see it be lived in.
Yeah, the animated show didn't really touch on that. I like that the live action did that. 100%. They touched on a thriving airbender temple.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
There were one thing about this show is there's a lot of conveniences that popped up. Like, it's crazy how they told Aang he's the Avatar on the day that the Fire Nation is attacking. We couldn't have told him when he have an age 10 years old when we tell him, or it happens a lot in the series.
The conveniences, yeah. And The animated show had some of those too, and I gotta remember while
It's a kids
we
show.
review the show, not yes, it is a kid show, but I'm trying not to compare it too much to the animated show because the animated show
100%.
lives in my heart as one of like the so as like I'm not trying to be too critical, but it's hard not to. You start to notice the conveniences, you start to notice the
We're
exposition.
older now, though, so we have to look at it from that lens. That when we were kids, we were ignorant, we were blissful. Everything is fun. Now the internet is, if it's fun, it's cringe. You
Mhm.
know, fun is cringe now. So, like, our mindsets in a way have been changed. It's
Yep.
pretty crazy.
The show
So
had a lot of dark tones in it too.
it did. It
I
really
mean,
did.
let's be real. I mean, this show, yeah, it's a good mix of a kid show and an adult show. I thought they did a
Exactly.
good blend, so
But this season was this episode was a lot of fun. Uh, we got to see some incredible actors. I have to give some shout outs to some of the actors, like Gordon Cormier as Aang. Perfect casting.
yep.
I wish he was given a little more depth and character building throughout the whole show, but he did such an incredible job building the excitement and the fun
And he
that
looks like Aang.
he
He acts
literally
like
looks
Aang.
like
Yeah.
Aang. I hope he has a glow up so him and Katara can really be like the couple, you
Yeah,
know?
because he looks too
He
young.
looks like a child, bro.
Yeah, I mean they are children, but
But
like
she
you're
looks
right,
older. She looks
one
older.
hundred
She looks
percent.
like she's
Mm-hmm.
17 or 18 and he looks like he's 11.
Yeah, Aang. He's like, where's Appa? No, 100%. I agree with that, man. The casting for Uncle Iroh though.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Perfect. From Mandalorian, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
At the tip of my tongue, I don't remember, but I do know. I do.
Paul Sun Hung Lee. Yeah, I butchered that. I'm sorry.
No, hey, I didn't. You know what I
Y'all
mean?
would have.
Even he probably would have butchered his name. But what did you think about the casting for Prince Zuko, man?
I think he was good. He kind of fit this show perfectly, the live action version, because in the show, the animated show, he is the exposition guy.
He loves exposition. Yes, that's why I didn't mind in the live action that Zuko was doing a lot of exposition. He was already the exposition guy in the show.
Yeah, so he perfectly
Mm-hmm.
blended in. I think that he did an incredible job throughout this season, and he has a ton of depth. Um, I again, it just comes down to writing. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they put a better story behind, like put more important elements of the story forward, then his job would have been so much easier.
I'm jumping a little bit, but something that they added to the show that wasn't in the animated show was when they had basically Zuko saves the 41st, his men.
Yeah,
He's the dad's like, okay, you don't want to kill them so bad, you like them so much, they'll be going with you when I banish you.
exactly.
So he did save them. That wasn't in the animated show. I actually like that they added that.
Oh, I do too. I do too. I think that the things they added were really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I appreciated. Obviously, they had time constraints, they had a budget they had to stay under. Animated films are just easier. Point blank period. It's hard to put that much time into a actual live action film. So, I think they did a really good job touching on a lot of stuff.
The actor who played Sokka, he
Oh,
looks and
S
acts like
tier.
Sokka, dude.
S tier.
S tier. I really appreciated that guy. I felt like I was watching Sokka,
Yeah.
right? Katara, not so much, but she still played a good Katara.
We got to talk about Gran. The last exposition bender.
Yeah, when you said that, I was dying, dude. She is the last exposition bender. With her exposition in that scene when they're in the hut,
Everyone knows, apparently, she legit says everyone has read this scroll and knows exactly what I'm talking about, but I just said it anyway.
everybody knows the story, but the audience that's watching us doesn't. So now I'm gonna say it. Yeah, you're right. When she started going into that, I was like, "Sam, bro, what is she doing, dude? We already know, lady."
Yeah, I guess it sets up everything. It gives you a little intro but it was just that was probably the worst scene in the entire show.
You think so?
I legit think they should have reshot that scene.
Yeah, cause she
Because
like
she also delivered it terribly, I
she
think.
kind of explained it like we're dumb too.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm saying.
we said in the beginning, like we get it. There's a lot of you who have never watched the animated show, so exposition is going to have its moments where you're like,
You
oh,
need it.
what is going? Yeah, it's you guys, the people who haven't watched the animated show. It's your fault. It's your fault we got so much exposition, right? But you're right. The last exposition Airbender did. Zuko's was fine, right? But every time anybody introduces themselves in the show, I'm Prince Zuko of the Fire Nation, banished by my father, Fire Lord Oz. Bro, just say your name. What you do?
That's my exact sentiment about this entire show. Is it felt like it was Avatar for dummies almost, like in a way. So, what else? They showed the Air Kingdom genocide. That really felt like the Anakin Skywalker moment, you know?
I thought it was gonna happen,
Yeah.
and they didn't show it.
They kind of, but
Like they did, but
they implied it.
I thought like we were gonna see like, hey, is this show gonna go dark?
It did later.
Because if they showed that group of kids getting like, right, that would have been crazy, dude.
It would have been.
Hey, but we know why they didn't. So, what did you think about the Kyoshi Island episode?
Kyoshi Island, I feel like they missed the mark on Sokka there. That's the thing. I don't necessarily think he had to be sexist, because that's the talk online.
Is that they were mad that Sokka's character development didn't involve sexism.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to involve that, but it has, like, if they had changed the implication to exactly how they did kind of at the end of the show, to more like, I don't want women fighting and that's why we don't respect you fighting, that would have been a different way for him to build respect for women, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could have changed it where it didn't offend anyone, because that's why they changed it ultimately, is to not offend anyone and probably to save money and time, because those are hard scenes to shoot.
I wouldn't have changed it, but I get it, but then you get all the OG fans who are mad.
Exactly.
So I mean, which, in my opinion, I'd rather not have the OG fans mad, right? Because if I'm asking my friend, right, I'm like, hey, you've seen the animated show, I haven't. Should I watch the live action, right? And if you start saying they changed this, they changed this, they changed this, I don't want to. Don't watch it. Why would I watch it if somebody who has watched the animated show is telling me that they changed other stuff and to not watch the live action? To me, like, I'm gonna probably take your advice. Like, why would I watch it if my friend who's a fan of it is already telling me not to watch it? They changed too much, right?
Yep.
So I'd rather not piss off the OG fans.
It's kind of like when a Marvel film comes out and you read one review and it says it's bad. You trust that reviewer and you're not going to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Shows, you have to give them a chance, I think. Even if they're cringe, embrace the cringe, you know?
This show had a lot of embrace the cringe moment. And it's like the animated show, right? Like, the animated show didn't start getting like really adult heavy topics until season 2 and 3. Right? And once they started doing that, I really appreciated it. It wasn't just all kid games the whole time, right? This show will most likely do that, but hey, embrace the cringe.
Yeah. And of course, they had to have a scene where Sokka was seen shirtless by Suki.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. She's like peeking through the door.
It's like, I see you. Like,
yeah. Why don't you come in? I did back rub, dude. I thought that was funny. So, I know I've been kind of jumping, but I gotta say this. One of probably my most favorite moments of the last Airbender, the live action show, it was Azula and her dad, Fire Lord Oze.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those scenes, they picked a really, really great actor for Fire Lord Oze.
I think so too. And they didn't show him at all at this point in the in the original.
And the animated show, it took a while before you saw him.
I think you didn't see him till season 3.
Yeah, like, I think
you saw his shadow, his figure, you know,
You never saw, yeah, yeah. So we see a lot of him in the live action.
which is nice.
And
It's
Azula, the actress who plays Azula, I really loved her. You can tell that she has like this really good quality about her acting. You know when it comes time for Azula to become unhinged, we're going to get a great unhinged Azula, dude. I mean, it's
I
probably going to
think
be
so.
like one of like those moments you're like, ah, this is your moment. You embrace
It's
this
like
moment.
Bellatrix when she came out in Harry
Mm-hmm.
Potter. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. She's playing a psychopath perfectly, you know?
Mm-hmm. 100%. And the actress really embodies that. Like during
She
those
looks
trade,
angry all the time, and that's perfect embodiment of Azula.
and they played on the dad's the I don't know what to call this, but the dad has these qualities about him where he's so ingrained in like the Fire Nation culture, being the Fire Lord and just like world conquering like ideas. He's willing to put his own kids at risk. He's willing to treat them really bad, like kind of embarrass them, kind of like abusive tendencies. And when him and Zuko are fighting, when he makes Zuko fight him,
Mm-hmm.
and Zuko's on the ground because Zuko doesn't take that shot. He has a shot to go at his dad's face with the fire. The dad gets mad that he didn't take that shot. So he starts to burn Zuko's face in front of everybody.
Yeah,
That's to me, like, even though they didn't really show,
his face
yeah,
literally
they just
burning.
kind of, you can hear in the background, like the screaming Zuko's doing. To me, I was like, that's dark.
It is.
He's burning his son's face in front of all these people and embarrassing his kid. And to me, I was like,
And he does it with Azula too.
he embarrasses her all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know what he's doing. He's like, I'm trying to get the best out of them. So I'm going to be rude, mean, cruel, whatever name in the book you could throw at the situation. But Azula handled it differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always what I loved about her character. Azula always was like, she should have been the boy in that family. That's what the dad wanted from Zuko. He didn't
Yeah.
get that from Zuko. He got it from his daughter. And most families, the dad's like, nah, I want it for my son. But he kind of embraced her dark side. He embraced her being like the more aggressive one. And like, I actually really like that, dude.
If you haven't watched the animated, Zuko becomes an emotional guy. Like he really becomes in touch with who he is, and becomes friends with a lot of people. I think that one a couple of notes I have here. Zuko and his relentlessness to capture the Avatar is maybe portrayed better than in the original. Like, I love in the first episode when they're showing Zuko for the first time, and they have him with one of those pin boards,
Mm.
and it's like the strings going everywhere. It just feels like every murder mystery you've ever watched.
Yeah. Especially with the strings.
Yeah, yeah, it's hilarious. I love that they added that little goofiness, you know. Um,
Well, because in the show, right, you did you had just mentioned this. You don't see Fire Lord Oze for a while. For the live action, we have to explain to the audience why is this so important to Zuko.
exactly.
We have to show you guys why it's so important. Not only he wants his honor back, he wants to be back in the Fire Nation, wants to be back with his family, but ultimately, but he's trying to like get the approval of like his abusive dad, and who hasn't had that? I mean, that was me growing up with my stepdad. I wanted to my stepdad's approval all the time, and this guy did nothing but treat me like shit. He like mistreated me, abused me, talked down to me, but I still wanted to prove myself to him, right? So I
Mhm.
felt that with Zuko. And in the live action show, you kind of needed to show that.
Exactly.
The audience needs to see why is it so important that you bring the Avatar home, even there was some moments in the show like, hey, and Aang tried to tell him like, hey, this guy's trying to kill the moon. Or in other moments in the show, hey, if you don't help me here, like I'll go with you after you help me.
Yeah,
But we just need help here.
yeah, and
Zuko was like zoned in on that. No,
yeah,
you're coming with me, dude.
yeah, he's so locked in for approval that his morals that you eventually see in season 3 on the original, like they're not there because he's so locked in to delivering the Avatar to his father and gaining his respect, because that's what he wants at the end of the day, is
Yep.
respect. That's what when he becomes friends with the Avatar group, that's what he wants from them. He wants them to give him approval. That's his ultimate goal with everyone he meets is approval. And the only person's approval he has in the show is Iroh.
Iroh's such a good character, man.
He was so well built.
You know, like he was obviously he was a good uncle, but he's basically Zuko's real dad in a way.
Exactly.
He's the man that stepped up and like just, hey, nephew, I know you're angry and filled with rage and you want to do this, but hey. And ultimately, Uncle Iroh kind of saves him in the animated show. If there was no Uncle Iroh around, I don't think that show ends the way it ends.
Yeah, he's a bad person at the end if it's not for Iroh, because Iroh constantly is trying to veer him in the correct direction.
He's like his Jiminy Cricket, basically.
Exactly. He is the man in his ear trying to push him in the right direction. Obviously, none of us on this planet listen to the man in the ear. We try to do our own thing. We're confident in ourselves. So I think they did a good job of showing that.
100%. You know, going into the later episodes of the season, you know, we got the Spirit World episodes, the Northern Tribe episodes. And for me, as the season goes on, the graphics got a little better.
The fights got a lot better.
The fights got way better. The exposition wasn't as heavy. There was still some things that they missed. So before we shot this episode tonight, I remember telling you that, so in the animated show, when they go up to the Northern Tribe, Katara learns from them. Her and Aang throughout the show, she's trying to like water bend with him because he's trying to learn water bending powers.
Not only that, in the original, Aang picks it up fast. The whole way the story works in the first season of the original is Aang starts picking up waterbending really quickly. Katara gets jealous. She steals the water tribe, which the exposition bender gave to her in the live action.
Yeah.
Expositioned it to her.
The grandma, Nana.
Gran.
That
is literally the grandma name.
And they didn't show it almost at all.
They didn't. They legit, like, they gave it to Katara and she just looks at it and she's good. Because she was really struggling to pick it up. And, like, I remember that so vividly. Is Aang is over on the beach and he's doing all these fancy tricks and Katara can barely lift up water. But in the first episode, she's lifting up water after Aang gives her one speech of exposition.
And they basically did it to where instead of her learning from like other tribes, learning with Aang, like growing throughout the season, she kind of just becomes really good really quick.
Because she does become incredible. Like, she does become an incredible waterbender.
Yeah, because the animated show explains it way better, like you just said. It explains it way better. This almost feels like Rey almost. Like, I'm just good because I'm good.
Yeah. Prodigy, but Aang's the prodigy.
Yeah, and even Aang in the animated show, every lesson when it comes to
he really does well with waterbending because it's similar to airbending.
Yeah, airbending, yeah.
And then he really struggles. He's good, but not great at earthbending, and he sucks at firebending.
I remember that because Zuko ends up teaching him.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, but yeah. But
we're gonna be putting that.
So, going forward with the show, the ending was kind of funny because when Aang channels himself into the water spirit, that's Godzilla, bro.
It is.
Did they know they were doing that? They knew that was Godzilla, right?
That was legit what I had in my notes. That was hilarious.
Like seeing water Godzilla like tear through that like their area, I was like, that's Godzilla. Koina, like they knew what they were doing, right?
You gotta put a picture somewhere, you know.
The last two episodes were really good.
Yeah.
I mean, General Zhao, he was one of those people that like, okay, you want to take out the moon? Like, what does that do for you, bro? Doesn't everybody on this planet need the moon? Like, I get what you're trying to do, but like, see, everybody kind of did that throughout the show, even Zuko. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't take out the moon. Let's just take Aang to the Fire Lord. I'm going to take out the moon. Zuko, hey, there's like something really big happening. Can we just do that first? I need you to come back with me to my dad. It's like no matter what was happening, everybody was just like they had their own agenda, even if it was a world-ending problem.
Yeah, because taking out the moon, that's got underlying consequences
for
for everyone.
everybody. Like, and if I was the Fire Lord and he came back and told me what he did,
Hey, boss. So I made a pretty big executive decision here. I killed the moon.
yeah, and Fire Lord Ozai is like, you did what? Yeah, I took out the moon. I just thought like we just get rid of it. Waterbenders and like all of them.
You said you wanted to get rid of the waterbenders. Problem solved.
And Ozai's like, I didn't mean like that, dude. What are you talking about? You know? I mean, bro, like
Maybe he'd be super excited. Maybe we don't really know.
yeah, we don't. And honestly, Fire Lord Ozai might be happy because water is their opposite.
Yeah.
So
Is
why
it-
not? But then
so
also
is this
the
like Pokemon?
yeah, it is like Pokemon. Yep, they're the Charmanders, dude, and the water tribes, the Squirtles. It's almost like what it's almost like when he says, "What is Zhao says?" He becomes more unhinged, right? And he's like, instead of just taking Aang back, it's like, especially remember when him and Zuko had that fight at the end,
Yeah.
and he says that speech, I'm like, "You are always used as a pawn for Azula." that hit me.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling it for Zuko. I was like, damn, bro, your dad really did play you because he did know your sister was the one. Like, she's the G of this family.
She's the GOAT. She's the next LeBron.
And you're not. And imagine being told that by somebody like, you were propped up to be the prince. You were propped up to be the next Fire Lord.
Dude, he's low-key Stephen Curry. He
And
had
Azula-
multiple people picked before him, you know?
And then think about it. Like, he gets told at the end, like, hey, your dad actually likes your sister more.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, Zook, come on, Zook. Come on, she swears you, you know? Hey, Uncle, I was like, just keep your head up, son. She swear, nephew.
So back to episode 2. What'd you think about the outfits and everything that
They
were
did.
wearing?
They did good. The outfits were lovely. The outfits were amazing. Loved them. I like we said. Like as the episodes go on, the fighting gets better. The graphics get better. The writing kind of does get better.
It
but not
kind of
fully.
plateaus. It plateaus.
It does
at a point,
plateau. That's a good example.
you know, one thing that I really appreciated was like how isolated they made this feel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially Suki. She felt like she had never seen the outside world, and she was completely by herself. And the Avatar group coming in really brought life to her. You know.
And it showed her like for once like something outside of her village.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was very well portrayed because that's exactly what happens in the show. Like, but I think they moved the Sokka and Suki relationship along a little quicker than they did in the animated show.
I mean,
Dude, Sokka's a player.
yeah, he be getting all the baddies, bro.
He
I mean,
does.
like in the show's format, right? Because like obviously I gotta remember these are kids I'm talking about, but in his point of view, like yeah, Sokka's always getting like the village's daughter, right? He's like
I think they even said something after like episode 3 where
they were on Appa, right?
yeah, they
Flying?
were on Appa and
Mhm.
she was like, and you messed it up with that Fire Lord girl.
Hey, I mean, you know,
hey, go Sokka. Hey.
did you think when you first saw Azula that like it was gonna be Toph?
No.
Like I didn't think it was Azula. Like it was the way the person was walking, and I was like, oh, is that Toph? Because like they're not even looking at anybody. It looks like they're like kind of blind.
I don't know. It just felt like everything was Fire Nation. There had nothing to do with Toph or Azula at that point. Because the first time we really see her is
When she reveals
when
herself
she's a
to the
bandit with those guys trying to do the mutiny in episode 3.
I thought we saw her when she pretends. Oh yeah, and she like brings them to her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
you're right,
she
you're right.
reveals herself.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. As far as like the end goes, and we just talked about. Me and you just talked about how like they kind of rushed a lot of stuff, and they kind of didn't show any water bending from Aang at all. There was no training with Katara.
He was hesitant to
Are
train.
you confident going into season 2? Like, what are some things like? And I'm just gonna straight up say this, guys, right now. Before I get lost in the sauce, I give this show a solid 7 out of 10.
I agree. 7, maybe 6.
I didn't think I personally thought 6 was too low, but I thought 8 was too high.
Exactly. 8 is pretty prestigious these days. what scares me going into season 2 mostly is they're gonna do a time jump. That's what really scares me is they're gonna come in season 2 and oh my gosh, Aang can waterbend.
Yeah, they're not gonna show us that. Oh yeah, yeah,
That's what scares me because that's what this whole season really builds up to is Aang
and
waterbending,
they don't even show it,
and they
dude.
didn't do any of it
Like, what was the point of the season then?
because the book name is water.
Yeah, like
So
yeah,
during Earth, we're gonna learn waterbending? I don't think so.
no, you're right, bro. The season 2 is probably gonna start with him waterbending, and they didn't even show us any of that.
Yeah.
This is why I gave the show a 7 out of 10. It's not a bad show, but there's some things you guys missed that you can't miss on shows like this. Just straight up, you can't miss on that kind of stuff. Like, it's about waterbending. He does no waterbending, and he turns into Water Godzilla.
Yeah,
I
water
plead the fifth,
Godzilla,
bro.
but can't bend water for his life. He had to splash with Qatar. He couldn't even bend with her.
Nothing. There was no, and they did spend a lot of time in the spirit world,
Um,
right? Could we have not had a training sequence at all?
they did almost an episode and a half. I was so checked out during those 2 episodes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I told you before shooting we had to rewatch that twice.
Yeah, I think I rewatched the show like 3 times just to finish up my notes. But yeah, that was definitely the hardest 2 episodes to consume. I legit wasn't caught by any of it. It was just like, okay, I know what's gonna happen, and I just don't like how they went about it. It just felt slow. The pacing was boring and inconclusive.
Yeah, if this season leads to Aang waterbending or it leads to Qatar learning from the Northern Tribe, I would have given it an 8. But I can't. It's just like watching Star Wars and we end off the first remake with Luke doesn't know the Force at all or anything. Like he doesn't even attempt anything, right? It's kind of similar to that. Like this is what we built up for. This is what we came here for, basically. Season 2, I'm excited. This is going to be a very good learning experience for the writers of the show. You guys didn't fail, but you missed a couple things that needed to be here. Just do some research on the animated show, right? You don't have to copy it beat by beat. I get why you guys made some changes.
Bring in a new director. I think, dude, bring in the director for Loki. I feel like he would be perfect for this kind of job, building
That'd be good. That'd
a
be
show
good.
like this because he's good with trippy and fun.
You know who's a producer on the animated show?
Who?
He is now like has a really large role at Lucasfilm, but Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni not only was a producer on the animated Last Airbender, he's the one that made the Clone Wars, Rebels, like those animated
Mm-hmm.
shows. Hey, why not? Like get somebody who knows this universe, right? He doesn't have to direct, doesn't have to help you guys write. Just get somebody who can consult with you on, hey, I think you don't have to follow the animated show beat by beat, but these are the most important beats that we need to follow, or we're gonna lose people.
Get a super nerd. I know there are channels. I think the Avatarist is one of the biggest ones that like their whole thing is studying this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a guy like that onto the show and let them be the lore containers, like the people you go to when you need an idea because he has those type of YouTubers have so much knowledge of this universe.
Yeah, why not? Get people who at least can help you. They don't have to like direct, write. Just consult with them, like people who know what they're talking about. When you show the lore love and you show where this universe came from, the respect it deserves, it will translate really well to whatever show you're making.
Millions and billions of dollars.
Star Wars missed out on that, man. Star Wars did a huge. They don't get people who respect the lore. They don't get people who know about Star Wars. They just fill boxes. Like, do we have enough women in the office? Do we have enough people of color in the office? Which those are important, yes. But what's more important is, do these people know about do these people know what we're about to write? Do these people know
Do
about
they
the
know
IP
the
we're making?
impact that this could have? That's the question that I've always asked whenever I've been in any sort of management job, hiring other people, do they know the impact that they have on my business or on my project? I think that's the mentality you need to go in, is do these people care? Do they know the product? Are they going to sell it right, you know?
There's a show coming out on Disney Plus called The Acolyte. It's a Star Wars show that's me coming out pretty soon here. I mean, Leslie Headland straight up said, the people I put in this writer room, I didn't pick them because they know about Star Wars. A lot of them don't know about Star Wars. I just wanted to have a diverse writers room, right? Listen, that's not a problem. Diversity is great, right? But she just said, I chose diversity over people who know about Star Wars. When her show fails, you will see why this kind of stuff is important. If the writers' room for season 2 of The Last Airbender is full of women, but they're super fans, bring it. We like that kind of stuff. Bring that stuff to the table. You could have diversity, but at the same time, if those people know about The Last Airbender, then yeah, bring them on.
It's like, what's her name? Miss Marvel from the Marvels. She is a absolute super fan. Like, she follows all the channels we follow.
Oh, Brie Larson.
No. Miss Marvel.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot what her name is, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But she is an absolute super fan. That's the kind of actors, the kind of people you should have in your writing room that really want to come to work and talk about
they're
this.
excited.
They're excited to build a story, and they'll give pushback when it's not portraying the way they want.
I mean, imagine like, hey, I'm gonna be working on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show,
I would suck at that. I don't know enough about
But-
Star Wars. Don't hire me.
but I don't know about it. Haven't really watched anything. And hey, does Obi-Wan have to stay on Tatooine? Why can't he leave Tatooine? Right? His whole thing is that he stays on this planet to protect our boy Luke. I'm here to protect Luke. He's gonna grow up to defeat Vader and the Emperor, right? I gotta protect him. But I'm a writer who comes on the show. Guess what? What if Obi-Wan leaves Obi-Wan? What if Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine? What if Obi-Wan doesn't stay here? What if he goes off and does his own thing, right? That's what happens when you hire people who don't know about the lore and don't pay respect to it. This show could easily become one of the GOAT shows, season 2 and 3. Hey,
Just like Harry Potter.
there's certain beats you gotta hit. And if you don't hit those beats, what you do?
And that's the exact sentiment for anyone who's remaking a show, Harry Potter, or a movie, you know?
Any of that, dude.
Like, imagine in 10 years, they're going to be like, we're remaking Game of Thrones. That's exactly what they need to do, you know?
And like, if you remake Game of Thrones and you follow the book beat by beat, then that's cool. But if you're
Maybe skip the last 2 books, write your own thing.
that's what D&D did. Basically, they didn't wait for the 2 books to come out. They just did their own thing and got slaughtered. They got slaughtered. So, before we end this part of the review, me and Sam give it a 7 out of 10. I would have given it an 8 out of 10, but there's just some things they missed that I can't forgive. And this show's not bad. I encourage you guys to watch this show and the animated show.
Especially the animated show.
this
That's
you-
a 10 out of 10.
This This universe is amazing. Once you realize that they're about to make a sequel animated movie with Aang in his like late 20s, early 30s, they're going to do prequel shows with Kyoshi. This is a really great universe to dive into.
And Netflix is just going to dump all their money in it because they know it's an infinite money glitch.
If they do it right.
Yeah.
And I believe they can.
Because it's been number like 4 on Netflix for a month now.
Well, the numbers got so good, they greenlit season 2 and 3 already. So, I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, to end this review, guys, for the FranTastic review number 9, I'm going to speak about Dune 2 a little bit. Sam has not seen Dune 2, but I will let him chime in whenever he wants because this movie is amazing, right? Now, I never read the books. I know there's a whole lot of books. There is an original movie from like the 80s. I think it's like the 70s or 80s. I've seen it before. It's really bad. So maybe that's why I wasn't so like gung-ho about doing Dune, like the new Dune movies. But I would suggest watching the new Dune 1 and the new Dune 2. going into it, please, you got to realize like number one, Dune 1, the movie, it's very long. There's a lot of
How
exposition.
long?
It's like hours, right?
Like
Both of the movies are.
4 hours?
No, both of them are about 3.
Okay.
Now, you have to understand, like, they're throwing it. This was the problem with the book and the original movie. There's a lot they have to throw at you, right? They're throwing so much at you that you get kind of like discombobulated because you're like, wait, what? You're just doing this the whole time, right? Sometimes it takes a multiple watches, but for the new Dune movies, Dune 1 and Dune 2, they're both about at the 3 hour mark, and it's basically book one split into 2 movies, right? I'm glad they did that. The first movie, yes, it's a long draw. You're going to be watching a lot of story. I still liked Dune 1. Now, going into Dune 2, I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, I wonder what this is going to be about. So when I saw it in theaters, there was some audio issues with the theater. They had to like restart the movie twice. I've never had that happen to me ever.
Me either.
They restarted the movie. They ended up giving us free movie tickets at the end, which I appreciate, right? But when the movie actually was working and the audio sounded good, there's a lot of action. A lot of action in this movie. Timmy C, my boy Timmy C, plays a great Paul Atreides. Like, you could tell that Star Wars like drew a lot of inspiration from Dune. You could tell when you see this movie, you're like, yeah, this is where George Lucas got a lot of Star Wars from. There's Zendaya as Chani. We got Dave Bautista in this movie. Well, Dave Bautista's funny because it's like Drax. It's like watching Drax, but without the makeup.
I love Dave Bautista.
He plays a really good, like,
Everything.
angry, like screaming, big tough guy, right?
Yeah.
Like
He's like The Rock. He's
just there, and you're like, okay, I get it, right? Javier Bardem plays a really big role in this movie as well, and he's one of the GOAT actors. Javier is, right? I mean, he's won Oscars before. I do have to say though, graphics look great. The music was great. The story's great. And then what is her name? She plays in Midsummer. Florence Pugh. Gosh, she's so bad. Florence Pugh, take a bow.
I'll have to see.
Florence Pugh, take a bow, baby. You know what I mean? And her dad in this movie is played by Christopher
Hit up my
Walken.
boy.
Huh?
Hit up my boy.
Hit up my boy, dude. Florence Pugh. You're so bad, Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh is so bad. And I'm not being disrespectful. In the most respectful way, Florence Pugh, you're like one of the most beautiful women on this planet. I mean, that's just what it is to me. Yeah. Sam, you're probably going to look up after and be like Andrew Strippin, but Florence Pugh, take a bow. Right? We got Christopher Walken plays the Emperor, and that was crazy funny to me because he's just Christopher Walken in an outfit. He's like, Paul Atreides, you're gonna go after the spies. Walken. He's like, you're here for the. Yeah, I'm doing a horrible Christopher Walken, but he's like, Fade Wrather's gonna fight Paul Atreides, and he's gonna date my daughter. You know, like it's just like it's literally Christopher Walken in an outfit. That's what this was.
That's great.
Not mad, but the character. Can you please look up one thing for me, okay? The actor who plays Fade Wrather.
Fade?
Yeah, so in Dune 2, he's the nephew of the Baron. And Fade Wrather's character, Fade Wrather's arc in this movie, I don't want to sound like this guy, okay? But Fade Wrather in this movie.
This guy?
Yeah, what does the name say? Who's the actor in Dune 2?
1 second.
We'll let that, because I don't want to get the actor's name wrong, right? I'm not trying to butcher it. If I butcher like a
Austin Butler.
Nice. Okay. I do remember that. Yeah. So Austin Butler's performance in Dune 2 as Fade Wrather. Now, I don't want to be that guy and say it's Heath Ledger like. It's Javier Bardem from No Country of Old Men. Mm-hmm. It could be. Now, watch the movie, guys. If you've seen Dune 1, go, and you haven't, go watch it. But Austin Butler's performance is up there. Every scene this guy is in, he captivates the screen. He's like the S-tier villain. Compared to the old movie too, because the old movie was just some like older white dude with like spiky hair, right? He brings a presence on screen that's scary, intimidating. Like every time you see him, you're like, how is Paul gonna defeat this guy? Like what? Like Paul's gonna get murked, right? And Austin Butler's performance brought that. Like I don't want to say it, Sam. I don't want to say it's Heath Ledger
Hey,
Joker. Like,
point in the corner, put the glaze.
let's put the donuts up, bro. It might be Heath Ledger Joker worthy. And there's probably a lot of you who are going to be like, Drew, you're tripping, but go watch it. Go watch it. And tell me after you've seen this movie that wasn't somebody who was locked in. He even said, Austin Butler even said he was inspired by Heath Ledger's Joker. He was inspired by that movie. You can clearly tell he as an actor wanted to portray a really great villain. He did it. He did it, dude. Now, I give Dune 2, this is my opinion. I give it a 9 out of 10, bro. It's not a perfect movie by any means. It is very long. If you're not into 3-hour plus movies, don't watch it. The graphics was good, music was good, story was good, the plot was good. Timmy C delivered, Zendaya delivered, Dave Bautista kind of delivered, but Christopher Walken, right? Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, but Christopher Walken. Hey, Paul Atreides.
I'll have to go see it. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
please. And then when you see Christopher Walken, hey, Christopher Walken, what you do?
I might not be able to take it serious in the theater. I might start doing a Christopher Walken.
I almost couldn't, bro. I almost couldn't. To seeing Christopher Walken like, whoa, the Baron's gonna destroy Iraq and the spice, and my daughter's Florence Pugh. I was in the movie Click with Adam Sandler.
What a great movie that is.
Oh my God. I give it a 9 out of 10. Guys, go see Dune 2, right? Great graphics, great story. I mean, when Timmy C's doing the speech at the end as the Messiah and he's pumping them up, I was like this. I almost felt like I wasn't in the real world for a second. I almost felt like Timmy was talking to me as Paul Atreides. When Paul Atreides is pumping these dudes up and he starts saying, like, if I'm not the Messiah, then how do I know your wife died last week, bro? And like everybody's like, oh, it was written, right? He starts going up to random people, telling them what he knows about the future. Hey, Paul Atreides, take a bow. And I gotta get Sam to watch it now because I'm gassing it up. But hey,
can you do the clap for me?
I could do one more clap
For me.
I could do
Florence Pugh?
Florence Pugh. Hey, Florence Pugh.
Take a bow. I just saw. Hey.
Oh, you like Florence Pugh?
Yeah,
You saw a
yeah,
picture?
yeah.
That guy looked it up. Florence Pugh. No disrespect to you. You're a great
I
actress.
think this is an appreciation of Florence Pugh right here.
She's a great. I've seen her in plenty of movies that I like. Right.
I don't know who you are, but
Florence Pugh, you
hit my boy up.
You're so great. You're so beautiful.
We'd
bro.
love to have you on the pod.
Yeah, and on the pod. And as an actress, I've loved, like, I think, so there's Midsummer, and then I like the movie she was in with Harry Styles. What is that movie called with Harry Styles? I just watched it, man. If you can look that up for me, that'd be cool. It's like Florence Pugh, Harry Styles. They're in like
She
this,
was in
like
Oppenheimer, A Good Person, Puss in Boots, Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah, Don't Worry, Darling. Yep, that's the movie. I loved it in that movie, right? But Florence Pugh, take a bow.
Don't be saying I love you too early though.
Yeah, that's yeah. I can't tell her that, man. She'll get scared, right?
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like a
Slow down.
hey, he's not allowed at my book signings. Florence, please. All jokes aside, Florence, you did an amazing job. I'm glad they casted you as the Emperor's daughter. So, if I'm Timmy C, aka Paul Atreides, am I going with Chani, Zendaya, or am I going with Florence Pugh, the Emperor's daughter? Who am I picking? I'm sorry, Zendaya, you're beautiful too. Zendaya, hey, Mary Jane, what you doing? But you know what you did. And before I end this episode, there's a scene in Dune 2, right? There's a scene. And she's on top of Timmy, right? Because Paul and Chani are having like their romantic scenes, right? I don't want to say certain words because YouTube. She's on top of Timmy. If I'm Tom Holland, I'm sick. I'm sick when I see that. She's like, hey, babe, it's just my job. It's just...
Maybe he's excited. Maybe he's weird.
I don't want to think of cuck Tom Holland, man. Right? Can you imagine Tom Holland like, babe, you did so good on top of Timmy. When you were on top of him, I believed it. And she's like, you don't have to cry. It's just, he's like, I believed it. You get your ass over here. You come kiss me after what I just saw. You give me a kiss. She's like, oh, Tom. Can you imagine Tom being aggressive? Can you imagine? I can't. And I see my girl with Timmy C there. I'm already like, I'm crashing out, Sam.
Oh.
I'm crashing out if I see my girl on top of Timmy C the way she was on top of Timmy C. Hey, I'm calling him up. You got to meet me for a fade, bruh. You got to meet me for the fade, bruh. But yeah, that is the FranTastic Review 9,
I have
guys.
one more question for you.
You go shoot away.
So you said that Austin Butler is Fade Rotha is one of your favorite villains. Rank your top 5 cinema villains of all time. Go.
Ooh. You know what, man? I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the top 5 because
Top 3.
top 3. So mine's very simple, I think, if I'm doing it on the spot here. Darth Vader,
Okay.
Heath Ledger's Joker,
Okay.
and villains in general or just from any movie?
Any movie, any show.
I think, this is kind of tough. And it doesn't even have to be Heath Ledger's Joker, but I would say Joker in general. But if we're going to dive into the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, this could be like an actual podcast topic for like another video, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm still going to name it, but like, think about it. Like Darth Vader, the Emperor, Joker. I'm trying to think of like
Thanos.
Thanos is a good one too. But then I don't want to do all comic book movies, right? So I was trying to like...
Why the hell not?
Why? Yeah, right. Why the hell not, dude? So I'm going to name 2 right now. I'm going to say Vader and Joker. But I would like to revisit this topic because throughout history, there's a lot of great villains. And I feel like I'd be doing it like a kind of an injustice a little bit if I just chose those 2. But what about you? What do you got? What do you got going on in that?
In that noggin. Thanos is my number 1. Heath Ledger's Joker. And shoot, you're right. 3 is hard.
Yeah.
Because there's just like such a pool of talent to choose from. I'm not as into Star Wars as most people. I'd love to say Darth Vader, but it would just be a lie.
Yeah, don't lie. Yeah. You did a great choice by that.
Dang.
You'll force choke us, so.
Voldemort. Voldemort is my 3.
I'll debate that with you in an episode. Can't believe you even named. Come on, Sam, what you do? No, but then when we debate it, it'll be fun. I hate Voldemort, so there's that one. So
I hate Voldemort.
yeah,
That's
I hate
crazy.
Voldemort. I'll tell you why. He's just a garbage villain in my opinion. But yeah, that is episode 9 of the FranTastic Review. Thank you, Sam, for joining me. Fran, I love you. I'm glad that I'm able to keep some of your memory alive with how me and you interacted. You loved the show. You were a huge supporter. And you told me, keep going. And those words still ring true to this day. Yeah, and guys, you can catch Sam on his YouTube channel. I will link it below, like last week's video. You can catch me and him on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. And yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.